Okay, here we are. You can see I've got a ton of rods, more rods than most people should have in their garage. But I'm going to give you the 3 most versatile rods in my lineup for bass fishing. A lot of people don't have access to all these different rods. I'm going to give you 3 actions that are going to help you kind of get what you need specifically for bass fishing. I'm gonna give you the 3 that I would start with, and then you can kind of build from there. Number 1, I'm gonna go with a 7-foot 3-inch medium heavy, and it's a moderate fast action, which means it's not super stiff. It's medium heavy power, but it's moderate fast taper. As you can see, I'm going to show you kind of the bend of the rod. You can see it bends throughout the rod. It's not bending just right at the tip. So about 60% of this rod is going to be bending. It makes it really good for spinner baits, chatter baits, buzz baits, bigger topwater lures. There's all kind of stuff. You can even get away with throwing square bills and some bigger type crankbaits with this rod. Really good, versatile rod. American made, as all cash-in rods are. But a 7.3 medium heavy, but a moderate. As I said, this is a moderate fast taper. What I'm saying is you don't want an extra fast. You don't want a fast taper. You don't want that fast action that's going to make it really, really stiff. So that's number 1. Very versatile rod right here. You can even throw a Carolina rig with that, especially a lighter one. Swim jig, obviously it's perfect for the swim jig. Very versatile rod. Love that rod. I put a higher speed Daiwa reel on there. It's a 7-to-1. My next rod, number 2 rod, is a 7.6 medium heavy flipping stick. This is the Icon flipping stick, and this is a 7.6. Now this is a fast taper. I don't know if you can read that right there, but that's a fast taper. I've got a jig on there. It's a mini flip jig, whatever type of jig. This is a really good rod for a jig. 7.6 medium heavy. You can also throw a bigger Carolina rig on that. A lot of bigger swim baits. You can even throw some glide baits on this thing. Heavy Texas rig fishing. I'm going to throw up to about 20-pound sunline shooter on that. I'm not going to really go much heavier than that until I would move up to a heavy action, heavy power, have a little more action, a little more juice to it behind it. But I'm going to throw up to about 20-pound test. Anywhere from 16 to 20 is what I would throw on this right here. And as I said, I've caught a zillion fish on a Carolina rig with this if you need to. Again, you got to have a flipping and pitching rod. Flipping and pitching is one of the top techniques for catching bass. I don't care if you're in a farm pond, a stream, a creek, river, lake, Bugs Island, Lake Fork, Lake Champlain, anywhere in between. Flipping and pitching will definitely produce largemouth, smallmouth, spotted bass whenever they get up in shallow cover around boat docks, laydowns, anything like that. So you got to have you a flipping stick if you want to be considered a bass fisherman. You're not even a bass fisherman unless you have a flipping stick. This is the one I would use. I like the high-speed Daiwa reel, 8-to-1. That's a Tatula right there. They make other models depending on how much money you want to spend. They make them very, very good. But number 3, that's right. We found us a spinning rod. We found us a fairy wand. Now, for me and my tournament fishing, I probably throw the Icon drop shot rods and the John Cruz side. I probably throw that a little bit more than this rod, but this one is definitely more versatile, I would say. Do a bunch of more stuff with this rod. This is an Icon spinning rod. It's a 7-foot 3-inch medium action. I'm going to give you the exact. It's a medium, but it's a fast taper. So I'll take the sleeve right off of there. But this one is, I really like this for a shaky head. Throwing little swim baits, a lot of different, but you can see that it's medium action, but I mean, it's probably got 70% backbone, 30% tip. So you still get a pretty light tip. You can definitely throw a drop shot on this rod. You can definitely throw, like I said, little swim baits. Shaky head is money for this setup right here, and it's not too stiff. So you can still throw 7 or 8 pound leader on this rod and not worry about breaking it off because your rod's too stiff. That is a major issue with rods, especially spinning rods. The power is going to be too stiff. So when you get that bite on 6 or 7 pound test, even 8 pound test, and you lean back into them and those fish are fighting, if you don't have your drag set too, overly loose, you're going to stand a good chance to break those fish off. And I don't care what line you're fishing, whether it's Sunline or Seagar or Berkeley or whatever it is, you can break those fish off if your rod's got too much power. So I definitely look for a spinning rod that's got a little bit of tip to it, a little softer tip. That's exactly what this rod does. I love this action. The drop shot rod that I mentioned earlier, it's 7 foot 4 inches. It's more like an 80-20 rod, but the weird part about that drop shot rod is it's very soft tip. The tip is very, very soft, so you can use 6 or even 5 pound leader on that rod and get away with it, not have any problems. And I'll go all the way up to 12 pound on my leader with that drop shot rod. But if I'm throwing a drop shot rod or a Neko rig, I've got that rod. But I don't always throw that. I'll throw a shaky head quite a bit. Missile Baits Magic Worm has gotten a lot of play for me in the last year. That is definitely one I'm gonna this rod, I'm gonna keep this handy. Good for Ned rigging as well. A lot of guys love to throw the Ned rig. The micro jig rod is really good. This rod is probably a touch lighter action than that micro jig rod. That micro jig rod's got a little more backbone to it. It's probably more of an 80-20 rod, but it's it might be borderline medium heavy. This is definitely just a medium, so it makes it a little more versatile. That was kind of what we were going after. If I was going to even throw, let's say, a medium-sized jerkbait, like a 110 size jerkbait, or a medium-sized flat-sided crankbait that I wanted to cast easier, wacky rig, this is really good. Like I said, really good versatile rod. I'll put the model numbers down in the description below so you can see those. But those are my 3 right there. Now, if I'm gonna, the one kind of thing I'm missing is really something for a bait caster for a jerkbait and small crankbaits. Those are definitely one I'm missing, like my next couple purchases. And then if you're gonna go deep crankbait fishing, you really need a rod specifically designed for deep crankbait fishing. If not, you're not gonna do yourself justice. You're gonna end up losing fish or breaking fish off or what have you. But that's a little bit more advanced. We're staying more basic here. These 3 rods right here, I tell you, I mean, I could go about 95% of the country and just use these 3 rods and catch plenty of bass. And maybe that's what I'll do next year on tour. Maybe that's where I'll go with it. But if anybody has any other actions, you think I missed anything, drop it down there in the comments. We're all trying to learn. We're all trying to have fun. But here's my 3 right here.